Episode 12, The 8 Dimensions of Wellness.
Job Peter.
Just back from Florida, guys.
Oh, yeah. Got a little tan. Pete got a little sunburnt.
Yeah, I got it on the shoulders.
Shoulders, yeah.
That's all.
On the shoulders. Yeah,
Do I look tan right now, babe?
You look pretty tan.
I do, right?
I can't really tell because we got the red backlight over here. We probably both look sunburnt. I've noticed actually when I watch the episodes, it always looks like I have a sunburn on my nose. You ever notice that?
No.
It's kind of fitting though, because a common side effect of long-term alcohol use, you get a big red nose all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's not that, it's the backlight. Okay.
You is.
All cameras. I'm pointing to all cameras. Yeah. So, well, you know what? To start,
Yep.
I do want to address something. Any of our viewers who've watched all the episodes know that I've had some issues with my ex. So I do want to just make one final address directly about her, because I figured out the issue, and I think it was kind of obvious in hindsight that a lot of the things I said were sort of seething with passive aggressiveness and resentment. And Pete even called me out. Remember the one time you were like, "Sounds like you got a lot of resentment."
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna allude to our relationship over the course of these podcasts because it did run concurrently with my rock bottom. So I kind of have to allude to that, but I'm going to just address her one last time because I figured out what was going on. So really the thing is, well, first I want to say two of the words I used when I was talking about her, because it was all off the top of the head. They were words that could be perceived as negative. The first one is when I said she was obsessed with CrossFit. An obsession definitely has a negative connotation to it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not obsessed with CrossFit, okay? It's just a big part of her life. I mean, she was in the CrossFit Games, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like, she's a very good athlete. She deadlifts 400 pounds. She squatted 300 pounds after like a grueling workout, which
I can't even squat.
It's insane. Yeah, I know. You can't. You can't even squat down. So I want to take that back. She's not obsessed. I want to clarify that. The other thing I said was she was a vanilla person, which implies that she's boring. She's not boring. I mean, I did so much fun shit with her. Like,
Yeah.
we went parasailing. One time we ventured into the woods to go kayaking, and we had to literally find the kayaks in the middle of a forest in a swamp. We were getting attacked by mosquitoes.
What's parasailing?
Parasailing's when you're on the parachute behind a boat over the ocean.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yo, but like, so we did a lot of fun shit. So she's not boring. What I actually meant was that like she's just never like got in trouble the way I did. She didn't do dumb shit like I did, essentially. Yeah. So it was hard to relate on that level. And then the other thing where I was saying, like, I still believe we had some compatibility issues, but the fact of the matter is we broke up because of my drinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was like rationalizing and trying to convince myself that, oh, even if I didn't drink, we probably would have broke up. False. I never like loved anyone as much as I loved her. She's a fucking fantastic person. She's the only woman I was ever with where I envisioned a future, like a family, kind of life with. And she's just a great person. And most of the times where I was doubting it, I was in a bad mental health space because I wasn't taking care of myself. So the fact of the matter is that, honestly, if I wasn't drinking, we probably would still be together today. Yeah. And if I didn't hurt her so much, and if I thought there was a possibility of getting back with her, I would have been fighting tooth and nail to get her back after I got back from St. Christopher's. But it's just not possible. And I couldn't accept that, and that's where I'm at. You know, I figured it out because, like I say often, I have so much time of sobriety. I've put in thousands of hours of work, but you always have to be vigilant.
Yep.
So, and I'm very happy you called me out and said you sound kind of resentful. So I thought about it a lot. I did some work, and that's just what it is. I really can't think of one bad thing to say about her anymore. And I guess I could just say one last time, I'm sorry, you awesome, kind, thoughtful, beautiful minx you. And that's it. So
good. It's good to get off your chest.
It feels good to get it off my chest. Because like I said, I did put in the work. Like I said too, to my credit, I did say something's off here, and I got to put in some work, and I did that. And I feels good to just finally get it off my chest. And I feel like once I realized that, it helped me to let go. And I still miss her a lot. And I mean, Pete, you know, like the first like 6 months of us talking and chilling, and I've talked about her every day to you probably. So it feels good to get that off my chest, and I wish her well. She's also been nothing but supportive. Even that fucking mean shit I was saying, or passive aggressive stuff. She even was like, "Put it up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Put it on the podcast." And she's so supportive of the book. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. So
No, it's good you got that off your chest. It's interesting because it makes me think about my ex-girlfriend and how much drinking played a role in our breakup.
Yeah.
And after thinking about that, it was one of the main reasons. So
yeah,
I can definitely relate to you. And I was a bit resentful for quite some time, but I didn't take my own actions into account, which now I do.
well, and that's a big thing too, because like resentment, and we talked about resentment like a few episodes ago and how poisonous it is. So especially when you don't realize you're holding on to the resentment.
Yeah.
And
Resentment makes me angry.
Me too. It explodes into anger.
Yeah.
And especially when you don't realize, like I didn't think I was resentful.
Yeah.
But I was.
Yeah.
And
you just didn't want to admit it at the time.
Yeah. Well, it was a tough pill to swallow. No pun intended. We talk about drugs on here. I was never a pillhead. But it was a tough pill to swallow, knowing that I was the sole aggressor that ended the relationship, and that despite the compatibility issues that I did think we had, it probably would have worked out, because when I was in a good state of mind, I loved our life together.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, like I believe in soulmates, but I don't believe in one. And I believe she was
Agreed.
one of my soulmates, because the thing with the soul, your soul is always changing. Your soul has to go through pain. It has to heal. It goes through trouble. It goes through self-discovery. And that's why you don't have one soulmate. I mean, if you find a soulmate and you stay with them and you have a beautiful life together, then that is your soulmate. But like, I genuinely believe that everybody has multiple soulmates out there, because your soul is always changing and evolving. And it just makes me hopeful, because what's meant to be is meant to be. I am taking a step back though. No more Cheesecake Factory, girl. Because like I said, I need to make sure that these things don't happen with my next relationship.
Yep.
I need to make sure I'm not carrying any of this crap still that I will project onto my next relationship. And at the same time, my priority is this. My priority is the book. It's the podcast. It's the content. It's helping others. It's this one's for the company Pete started that I'm going to be heavily involved with. And that's it. So I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm honestly kind of proud of myself that I came to the conclusion, because it's hard to admit that shit, especially. I mean, it's easy to admit in front of you and to you, but like to the viewers, we get hundreds of thousands of views across all platforms.
When did you realize that you wanted to say all this?
I realized like a week ago, when I discovered all this.
Yeah.
And when I had to admit it to myself. And then I was like, I want to talk about it on the podcast just one last time. But I was sick. I was a little under the weather, so we had to hold off on that. But it just had to be said, because I want to make sure the last thing I ever say about her to the general public, like specifically about her, is positive and truthful and honest and genuine. And that's what that was.
That was great, Greg.
Thanks, Peter.
You is.
Jibbity job.
Jibbity job.
Peter Piper picked the pepper.
In the pepper field. Oh.
He is. All right.
So now 8 dimensions of wellness.
Yeah. Or actually, you want to touch on this news story first?
Yeah. Let's touch on the GABA.
Yeah. We're working things out now as sort of the structure of the podcast, and we do the news thing at the end. We're going to try it at the beginning this time, and whatever. Who cares? We is jabbing. So Pete, what's this news story about?
Well, this is an interesting news story. It talks about GABA Labs. They created a synthetic alcohol called, you're going to need to help me with this word, buddy, Alkari.
Where is it?
Third sentence down.
I don't know what that. I'll put the word on the screen.
Yeah.
Alcarel.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody trying to pronounce alcohol who doesn't have a good grasp on English.
Yeah. Well, Alcarel claims it will deliver pleasurable side effects of the drug without the negative one. It aims to target GABA receptors in the brain, allowing for the release of dopamine and serotonin and nothing more. Basically, what it is alcohol without the hangovers.
So that is that has my brain in a pretzel to a degree.
Yeah, I feel like if I had this and it says it can increase, like I said, increase your dopamine and serotonin levels, why wouldn't I just want to keep drinking to feel better, just like I would with alcohol?
Well, and that's the thing that I'm kind of torn about. is that hangovers, like, so it prevents hangovers.
Yeah.
But hangovers never prevented me from drinking.
Me either.
And I know pretty much every alcoholic, hangovers didn't stop them from drinking. So my concern is that people who hangovers, so they're not really full-blown alcoholics, but they got really bad hangovers, and that prevents them from drinking. So what happens when now they don't have hangovers?
Yeah.
Does that lead to full-blown alcoholism? It's an interesting thing.
It's just interesting because I think when realizing you're an alcoholic, it's like once you have that first drink, you can't stop.
Exactly.
And I don't know how I would be able to stop myself if this had those pleasurable feelings.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm interested. I don't think personally I would try it.
Yeah, I would. Well, at this point, I would never try it. But,
you know,
I mean, back in my drinking days, I would have tried it. And if it worked that well, it would have been disastrous. I just can't see myself ever stopping. I mean, does it prevent when you're really going on a binge and you get to the point where you've already drank like 25 drinks, but then you start feeling like shit. It's like you're hungover even though you never slept, but you keep drinking. I wonder if it would eliminate that too, and then I would just I'll give myself alcohol poisoning. Like, it's hard. It's a very interesting invention. It's not out yet, so I hope this doesn't come off as an advertisement for it. We don't want our viewers dabbling in this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out and if it actually is a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anything's worth a try.
Yeah.
And this could definitely be something that changes the game. It's a game changer potentially.
Yeah, it is. It says it's a neurotransmitter that slows the brain by blocking certain signals, thus producing a calming effect.
Yeah.
So it does attack those neurotransmitters in your brain that gives you the serotonin and dopamine.
Yeah, and that it does, it induces those endorphins. I like the quote here. It feels like what a glass of wine feels like, he told the newspaper. It feels relaxing. It makes you a bit more chatty, a bit more socially engaged with the people. Now, if that quote was accurate for me, it'd be like, it feels what a glass of wine feels like the precursor to a million drinks and potentially going on a cocaine binge that spans 12 congressional districts, and you spend every fucking ounce of money in your bank account and you're mean to all your friends. That quote should be in there too.
I don't know. Maybe I got to try this test study. Me and you.
We'll get back to you. We'll have to get in like a locked, padded room and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Just put no furniture, no ability to communicate with anyone outside.
Yep.
Oh,
Phone's
man.
locked, thrown away.
Yeah, and we'd have to have a clause that it doesn't change our sobriety date because it's just an experimentation.
Yeah.
But that would be something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go over this other one quick.
Yeah, let's bang it out.
Might as well, because this is a study.
This is interesting.
It was a comprehensive study that 150,000 individuals in the world participated in this study, and it said over the course of someone's lifetime, 1 out of 2 people, so 50% of the human beings on the globe will experience a mental health issue, which is kind of eye-opening.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm not that surprised by it because it's really just one issue. Like, there's a lot of people who don't actually suffer from like clinical depression who have a period of depression. Like,
and it says like you said, 1 in 2 people, but it also says anxiety is one of those factors. I think everyone experiences anxiety at one point in their life.
Oh yeah, me too. Because that's the thing. It doesn't really tell you how granular the study was. It doesn't tell you how specific it was. Like, is it just like, oh, I'm a little anxious because I got to give a speech? Or is it like
anxiety disorder?
Yeah. So it's still an interesting study because it shows how prevalent mental health issues are, even if they're short term. I think the other interesting thing was the 3 most common mental health disorders among women are depression, some type of specific phobia, and PTSD, while for men they are alcohol abuse, depression, and then a specific phobia. And like me and Pete were talking about this before, I think for men alcohol abuse is the number 1 because for the longest time, and even still today to a degree, it would be like stigmatized for men to seek help for mental disorders. You're told to suck it up, to rub some dirt on it and shit like that. So self-medicate, turn to the bottle.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Yeah,
I think that was our generation too.
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, push everything down, don't say a word, keep everything under the rug,
pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other metaphors for men keeping everything inside.
You can.
It's fucking insane though. Like, So I mean, I'm hopeful though, because a lot of things in the press, especially after COVID sucked. Like there's really nothing good about it. But the
Yeah.
silver lining is so many people started to have mental health issues that it became a hot topic, and it became something where it became more universally accepted to seek help no matter who you are. So thanks, COVID.
That just makes me think about how big healthcare is in the pharmaceutical system and psychiatrists and medications. And I think it's a $260 billion business.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. We were watching that painkiller documentary.
Yes.
Or it's not a documentary, it's like a show, but that shit was insane. I still got to watch the
last
episode.
Oxycontin. Yeah, I suggest you check it out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's pretty good. One of the lead guys is the guy who played Ferris Bueller. I'm surprised. I mean,
who's Ferris Bueller?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the movie.
Imagine
they made Job Pete's Day Off. Imagine the things you'd be doing: skipping school, drinking OEs, doing Jif,
getting nightmares.
You want to talk about your nightmare?
Yeah, I had a dream that I was going to be a Green Beret, and I was training for it, and it was pretty intense. And the training, and I have stills. I have an autoimmune disease, and they were like, either you take the shot and you live, or you don't take the shot and you die proud. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to die proud. And then and then it showed me I was in battle, and everyone else had like an AR-15 shooting against the enemy. I had a fucking musket gun with a circular like thing it shoots out of, and it only shot one shot.
Oh no.
So when I shot it, I got one shot, and then I didn't know what to do. Because they started, what's what they put the knife on?
Yeah, the bayonet.
They started putting bayonets on their guns and stabbing people. I said, fuck that. And I started running. And I thought I was going to get away. I got captured. And then when I was captured, they were torturing me.
Oh, God.
And I was chained by my feet with a brick in the middle, so I couldn't move. And and then my parents came and visited me
in the torture.
While I was being tortured, and they're like, he's never going to come home. This dream went on for like a half an hour. It was the longest dream, fucking terrifying. And then I don't know if anyone's ever felt this, but like all of a sudden in the dream, you're dreaming, and I was like, wake up, and lucid I woke dreaming. Up, and I just hugged my dog because I was so happy I was in my bed. Is that a good explanation of a job dream?
Yeah, I visualize it. I feel like I was watching Saving Private Ryan or Platoon. You want to know what's crazy about that? I was thinking, because you told me about the dream the other day. Because PTSD, I mean, I'm sure that contributed to the dream.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the first thing most people think about when they hear PTSD is like soldiers who get traumatized in war.
Yeah.
So it's like your dreams. You're a warrior in your dreams now.
Yeah. That's a great topic that you brought up. I mean, nothing against obviously any soldier who's been to war and who has PTSD, but there is not enough mental health facilities for people like myself who can go and get the help that they need. And that is something I'm trying to change, and I'm actually working on in business right now.
Yeah, to make those behavioral health
clinics.
That's true. I didn't think about that, because there are in there, which is a beautiful thing, that there are like VA hospitals specifically dedicated to veterans who have PTSD, but I don't know of any specifically dedicated facilities to PTSD for non-veterans. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you just said that the most common mental health disorders for women were PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the ratio in the Army for women, but I'm sure it's
not a lot of women in the military.
Yeah, so you got a lot of women out there who just aren't getting the treatment that they need. So
we're
about to change that.
Interesting stuff. All right, you want to get on to the actual topic at hand today?
Yep.
So I honestly don't even remember where I got this, but it's talking about. What the fuck's it talking about?
The 8 dimensions of wellness.
Yes, the 8 dimensions of wellness and improving your mental health through wellness, because wellness is a holistic approach to health that's vital for improving outcomes among people living with mental illness. And the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, they identified 8 dimensions of wellness that influence one another and affect a person's overall health and quality of life. Job. So we're going to go through each one of these, and who knows what'll happen.
I need every one of these. I need to improve every single one of these, Greg.
I think everybody could improve every one of them.
I was looking at them, I was like, fuck.
there's always room for improvement too. That's
Yeah, you're
another thing.
right. You're right.
There's never not room for
Why
improvement.
don't you break down the first one? The first one, it's emotional. Coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. I mean, that's an important one.
Yes, and that's pretty broad, but like it's basically just like for us like emotional sobriety, emotional well-being, emotional strength and acceptance, accepting your emotions. Because the one thing, a big problem, especially with alcoholics, is coping. It's emotional regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's saying. You need to learn how to cope. And that's where, I mean, for a lot of people who
But what do you mean you need to learn how to cope? Like how do I learn how to cope with certain problems?
So, well, I think the best strategy if you're really having difficulty coping with emotions is literally to seek help.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because the other things, like sometimes they just don't work. If you really have emotional dysregulation, like mindfulness and meditation probably won't work.
Yep.
Reading won't work. Working out won't work. Like I mentioned before, when my emotions were all off, working out became a trigger for me.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue. So, there's something too, which I suffered from called frustration intolerance.
Oh.
Meaning even the littlest things that are frustrating, like the littlest thing could go wrong and you absolutely flip out to a degree that's not normal.
Really?
And that sort of goes in with this too, coping effectively. So I think for these things, the two best forms of therapy are CBT and DBT. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yep.
It actually was first started by the Stoics, but it wasn't called that.
Really?
Yeah. It's very interesting. You can look that up. I forgot the guy's name who actually started CBT, but it is basically accepting what's out of your control and, doing what you can for the things that are in your control. And that's basically the core tenet of CBT. And then DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. That one I'm not.
You're so smart.
I don't know exactly what that is, but I know it's used to treat personality disorders like borderline personality, narcissistic personality disorder, because those are two huge things that involve dysregulation of
Yeah,
emotions.
in therapy I do CBT, but it's funny. I mean, we're just starting it, so I'm not fully aware of what it is yet. But they're making me try to relive those past experiences that happened to me in the past. And for me to realize that those are in the past and not in the now, I need to leave it behind.
Well, yeah, because the CBT deals with cognitive distortions, and a lot of them it's like thinking in black and white, where a healthy-minded person doesn't see things in black and white. You don't love something or hate it with nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
And there's other ones too, like living in the past is definitely one of them, and not realizing that the present moment's actually the only thing that exists.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them. And then obviously, because for these, like you have to learn how to cope effectively with your emotions in order to have strong, satisfying relationships, which is what it basically says. I mean, dysregulated emotions cause a lot of issues in any relationship, working relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, familial relationships.
Yep.
It's just, So that's
good.
That's the first one. What's the second one here, Peter?
Environmental. And it says occupying pleasant, stimulating surroundings that support well-being. Environmental to me is huge because I say it again, when I tried running away from my problems and went to LA thinking I was going to be in a different environment, it didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And for this too, it's like you got to make your environment conducive to your mental health. So if you're living in an unorganized space, organize it. Get out in nature. Like I know you walk every morning.
Yep.
You walk multiple times, and I try to do that too. Like get out and experience nature. Have a schedule, having a routine. Like that's basically what this one says, and I can definitely understand that. And then it's also like you shouldn't run from your problems, but if you're currently living in like an abusive household, or abusive toxic relationship, you got to figure out how to either get out of it or change it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be stuck in something.
And most of the time you can't change it, so you got to get out.
Exactly. Which goes back to CBT and Stoicism. Like you can't really control somebody who's being abusive, but they try to control you, which is the point of the abuse for the most part.
Yep.
So that's a lot of these. I think I don't know. I wouldn't say
it says it's stimulating surroundings that support well-being. Does that also mean surrounding yourself with people?
Yeah, I think like surrounding yourself with supportive people, but also being in a place where you can engage in healthy activities that are stimulating. Okay. So there's two kinds of Well, it's more nuanced than this, but sort of a general breakdown. There's two kinds of way that your brain releases dopamine, and it's consumption or creation. So consumption is generally a bad form of dopamine release that can potentially become addictive. That's drug use, that's porn, that's sitting watching Netflix, that's doing these or playing video games, stuff like that, like doing these mundane tasks. Now, doing them in moderation is totally fine because they're pleasurable. It's when that's all you do to get your dopamine when you're kind of fucked. Creation is when like this podcast we're doing now, this is creation. Writing the book, working out, building relationships. Those things release dopamine because you're creating something. Those are healthy dopamine releases, and that's what you want to try to do.
Yeah, for me, it's working.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I see that. I love when you've banged out a bunch of work and you're so excited. And for me too, one thing about me, when I get happy about something, I'm off the walls. Yesterday we actually were surprised with my book got written up September 19th, by the way, but it had a write-up in the Times-Union, which is the biggest newspaper in upstate New York. Yeah. And we were shocked because Pete did behind-the-scenes work, but it was a while ago and we forgot about it. So it was Pete who did it, but we didn't know. And people were texting my mom with pictures and we're like, what? And when I get excited, I'm uncontrollable. I was running around the house shadow boxing and doing somersaults, and like it was fucking insane. And it's funny because one day we're gonna look back on this. Like, remember when you were going insane because of like a little paragraph in the Times-Union? But it's exciting.
Yeah,
so
it's something to be proud of.
So that released a shit ton of dopamine. It's like I took all the letters out of the fucking article, broke them up in a line, and sniffed it. All right. So the next one,
financial. Satisfaction. How do I say that word?
Satisfaction. Pete can't get no
satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
Financial. All right. So the third is financial, and it says
satisfaction with current and future financial situations.
This is tough for me because I'm an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, you got to know sometimes you don't have a lot of money, and because you're working for yourself, so. Financial is something that I need to, I don't want to say improve because I'm in a good space, but I can see how not, and this is obvious, I can see not how being financially stable can contribute to mental conditions and mental health conditions.
Yeah, and like you said, this one is fairly obvious. So I mean, it's like you need money. Yeah, and you need to be at least financially secure in some way. And if it's really difficult for people if you're in a hole, but there are ways out. I think the only thing I would say about this is money doesn't buy happiness.
Agreed.
But I think what money does, though, is it does free you up from these financial concerns. However, you get a whole new set of concerns. So it doesn't buy happiness, but it certainly can relieve you, obviously, of financial stress. It's just don't think if you suddenly like get a high paying job, or even if you like hit the lotto or you come into a large inheritance, don't think you're suddenly problem free and you're going to be happy forever. You just will probably run into a new set of problems that you didn't have before you had a lot of money.
Facts. When I started making a lot of money, I always drank more.
Exactly. Well, one of my biggest triggers used to literally just be money in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like I remember I'd have like 3 to 4 months sober, wasn't working a program or doing anything for my recovery because I didn't know I was an alcoholic yet, but I'd go a few months sober and be like, oh, I feel so good, I'm never drinking again. And then I would like pay off debts and have all this surplus money. And then I would be like, let's go drink. Yep. Yeah. That happened. That was probably my biggest trigger, actually. Because I'd be driving or something. I'd pass an old like bar that had a nice deck in the summer. Yeah. And I'd be like, oh, that was fun. And I had money. Yeah.
Impulsive. That's how I was.
Yeah. Well, that was a huge issue with my hypomanic episodes was impulsivity.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was going to say impulsivity, but I wasn't sure if that was a word. I've been struggling on this podcast with words, so I didn't say that word.
Anything's a word, Peter. Sounds are just little vibrations from the vocal cords that humans attach meaning to. Right, however, what is that? We transcend that. We're just fucking atoms spinning on a little ball in the middle of the infinite universe. You see these eyes? I probably should cut this. All right. Let's move on to the next one, Peter. I'll read this one for you.
Oh, I'm not doing good reading?
No, you can read it.
No, you're reading it.
No, read it.
No, I'm not reading it.
All right, I'll read it. Intellectual. Recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills I believe we did sort of. I literally touched on this without knowing this was like one of the next ones. That is literally the dopamine release type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, because when you're creating things, when you're expanding your skills, it does release good dope. Well, all dopamine's good, but it releases the dopamine in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned in the couple episodes ago about confidence, like learning new skills builds confidence. It lets you live life with purpose. Yeah, that's, just learn. I mean, yeah, it helps with your neuroplasticity.
Intellectual. I mean, that's also your imagination, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely my biggest release of dopamine. The thing that I enjoy the most is coming up with new ideas.
Yeah. And it says that too. It's like, come up with new ideas and also work on the skills you already have, work on the talents you already have. Just like every day you can get a little bit better. And what's the saying is like, you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody except who you were yesterday.
Big facts.
And the other thing about improving, it's you got to recognize the fact that you aren't going to get better every day. It's more like a stock chart in a bull market. You're going to get better.
Yep.
That's how you do it. It's the same with sobriety. You have good days, a little bad day. Good day, bad day. Just don't fucking drink and you'll keep going up.
Yep.
That's what's up.
You is.
I feel like we're going quick, but that's no problem with that.
Occupational.
So this also, I mean, it ties in with the financial part, but I actually don't think that's what they mean. You need to have a job or a life purpose.
Yeah.
Like I'm not built for a desk job. Even if that desk job's paying me a lot of money. Like I had a lot of jobs, sales jobs, where I would always start and be really good at it. Then I would get disillusioned with it and I'd probably get fired or I'd quit or I'd start drinking heavily. And then, so it's like, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yep.
And this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And it doesn't matter how much money I make doing it. I mean, I anticipate it's going to be a successful and potentially lucrative career, but like that doesn't even fucking matter. It does, like, I need to be able to live, but like, this is what I'm meant to do. I never wake up and think, oh shit, like my job sucks. It just doesn't.
Yeah, when I was in a little center because I was having a problem, I was in a hospital. Most of the people who were in there, they didn't have a purpose. And that's what they would continue to tell me. And that would lead to depression and drinking.
Yeah. That's what Jordan Peterson says. Like, one of the biggest and most important things you have to do once you become sober is find a purpose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could even, like, you could have a desk job or whatever. I keep saying desk job. There's nothing wrong with desk jobs, but like, you could have a job that you're not like super high on, but you make a decent living doing it and it's not fucking making you miserable. But then outside of work, you do something that gives you purpose. Like you're a painter or you're a fucking musician. Like you can work a 9-to-5 job and then just get really fulfilling life purpose through music or from anything, So that's what I believe that one means.
Now we're on physical. I don't think I can drink milkshakes with this one.
No. Peter, did we already talk about the milkshakes you had? Yeah, I mean, I lost weight on vacation because I wasn't drinking, so I wasn't consuming extra calories, and we were getting like 25,000 steps in. We were sweating because we were on the beach. I was working out too. They had this like jungle gym that I was working out on. But Peter said he gained weight. I don't necessarily believe him, but he did say he gained weight. And why don't you tell us why, Peter?
Why, I like a good milkshake.
Who doesn't though?
And I started getting obsessive and getting 2 at a time. But milkshakes are like my alcohol. Like whenever I think about alcohol, I go get a milkshake.
That's fucking good.
That's what I did.
Yeah, it was kind of like the ice cream milkshake place was right around the corner.
Yeah.
Like it was literally a 10-second walk from the door of the Airbnb house. It was
awesome.
It was a trigger for sure.
Yeah.
But it was good. I indulged myself.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't eating, like I wasn't restricting myself from anything. It's genuinely like when you're like most of the calories I would consume on vacation is from drinking excessive amounts of alcohol. So like I've been on vacations where I would get 25,000 steps a day. I would do like light workouts, but I would drink like 5,000 calories of alcohol each day. And on top of that, eating, and on top of that, drinking makes you get the munchies. So it was just, disaster. I'd come back and I'd look like Shamu.
And I want to say, I'm a little upset with the Hard Rock with the $25 limit blackjack tables. You need to lower that a little bit for the job, okay?
Yeah, 6 to 5.
Yeah, 6 to 5 odds on blackjack. And anyone who plays blackjack knows you don't play 6 to 5, but I did and I lost, so I'm an idiot. You're supposed to play 3 to 2. All right.
Yeah,
You
I lost two. And then I tried to get Pete to go back one day. And I was like, I'll give you money. And Pete stayed strong because it would have been a terrible idea, most likely. So, yeah, you held
Shout
strong,
out to
Peter.
Ma Dukes.
Yeah, actually, Pete's mom played a critical role in getting us not to go
Do
back.
not go back to the casino. Do not form another addiction.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She's not wrong. Well, she's almost never wrong. So
Yeah, the Duke.
that lines up. So this
Social's
also
a big
says, well, physical, I don't think we even talked about it, but it's pretty obvious. It's like we talk about this kind of stuff in every episode, but like physical, it's like, what's it say? Recognize the need for physical activity, healthy nutrition, and adequate sleep. And I've said that, I feel like, in every episode.
But that's big because, when you're depressed, you have isolation.
Yeah.
So getting out there and meeting people and working out and just being connected even with nature, going outside and walking is so important.
Yeah. And just, you got to eat healthy, eating a bunch of junk food on a consistent basis is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, and then on the other side of that, though, if you do have a very strict diet that you're adhering to, give yourself a break every now and then. Yeah. Because that can make you miserable too. I've been cutting weight for a while, and normally around this time of year, it's almost fall, I stop my cutting. I gain a little body fat, I go on a little bulk, but because I'm going to start doing so much press stuff for the book release, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to make sure, though, I give myself a day every week to just be an absolute animal and eat the chips and the dip and the burgers and the milkshakes. Me and Pete, I'll go bring you some milkshakes, Peter.
Sounds good to me.
So yeah, that's huge. Sleep's obvious. I mean, like I said, this one, most of these things we've touched on in every episode to some degree, but this one I always talk about, and so does Peter. So what's next? Social. So social, developing a sense of connection and belonging. Again, I do think some of they're all obvious to a degree, but it's
but
like
they're important.
Yeah, and social, developing a sense of connection. We say all the time, connection is the opposite of addiction, and both of us and most alcoholics or drug addicts or people who have mental disorders, they enter the rock bottom when they find themselves completely isolated from positive and healthy connections and relationships.
Do you think this kind of aligns with when you get out of a rehab or, get out of a bad situation with alcohol, they say go to a meeting every single day?
Yeah.
AA meeting every single day.
Yeah, that's huge. Like in AA, for most people who are new to recovery or fresh out of rehab or just going into, they dropped the bottle and they went to fucking their first AA meeting, they tell you to do 90 and 90, which is 90 meetings in 90 days. And they generally want it to be one meeting a day for 90 days. But I do know some people who would, like, if because of work or something, they do like 2 meetings on Monday, work Tuesday, then meeting Wednesday, whatever. But and the reason they suggest that is because connection's so important.
Yep.
You find a sponsor, you find a home group, you get comfortable talking to the other your brothers and sisters in the fellowship of AA, and it's huge. I mean, any alcoholic, whether you're still drinking or you're been sober for a while, if you find yourself isolating, that's one of the first warning signs of relapse. It's at that point, there's a few stages of relapse that ultimately lead to a physical relapse, which is actually picking up your drug of choice again. But I believe that stage where you find yourself isolated is the stage right before relapse, which is called emotional relapse. And that's why you need to connect with people. I mean, human beings are social creatures. We're put on this earth to socialize. So fucking talk to people.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Spiritual.
This is my favorite one.
All right, you read it then.
Well, it says spiritual, expanding one's sense of purpose and meaning in life. Because for me, the number one thing that got me to where I am today is spirituality. And spirituality, it doesn't necessarily mean like God. You don't have to be a monk. You don't have to go on the top of mountains and meditate. But it's about knowing that there's more out there than you. You got to turn your will over to some higher power. It's just knowing that like this infinite universe is a mystery. And we're pretty insignificant in that. And it helps you, like, if you have spirituality, you are never really alone. Like, you have some type of essence that you can always connect with and talk to. despite what I said, like if you can't be alone forever, like
Yeah.
you got to socialize and connect with people. But sometimes you can't necessarily get in touch with someone that you feel comfortable talking out your problems with, and that's when you can sit there and just go through some spiritual routine. There's a ton of stuff out there. There's a ton of books, and there's no like right or wrong way to be spiritual. You find the way that works for you. You find something that you truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was the most helpful thing. And for me, the way I found that out was like I would always try to stop drinking. Even before I knew I was an alcoholic, I knew I was a problem drinker. And the one consistent thing from everybody who would, like, when I would go to a meeting or something, I'd pop in a meeting randomly. The one thing that was consistent amongst almost every alcoholic who achieved successful recovery was some form of spirituality.
Interesting.
And it doesn't even have to be like a all-knowing great higher power. It could be science related even. It's like physics. That's just crazy. Like, how the fuck is that? How, like, the amount of things that had to happen for human life to exist is insane. It's almost incomprehensible. I don't know which word it is. But so that's the way I see spirituality. And like I said, yeah.
For me, it's something I need to work on.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well,
can't say much about it. I mean, I do believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there's a higher power. I do believe I'm here for a purpose.
Do you ever pray?
I should pray more.
Yeah. Just
I really should. I think it, for me, it does a lot of good. And, I used to pray a lot before I really spiraled out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't pray as much anymore.
Well, I think even if you just are grateful, that's spiritual in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm definitely spiritual. It's just something I need to work on.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone needs to work on things all the time. I still need to work on it too. Because I mean, when we were on vacation, I was like so confident that I would do my routine every day, but there were some days I missed it.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And the thing about it that was a little scary is I didn't even realize I missed it. Like, I would think at like noon, and when we were on the beach, like, oh shit, I didn't wake up and fucking thank God this morning for letting me wake up today.
Yeah.
And by that point, it was too late. God was like, not today. Not today, Greg. You missed your opportunity. So I just went in the ocean, threw a football with Peter, and lost my sunglasses.
And had some fish attack us.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was wild. These little ass fish. Something, we were chilling, and this little thing just jumped out and smashed me in the face.
Yeah, me too.
And then we were surrounded, and this other couple was screaming. And I said other couple as if we were a couple. Which some people think we are, I think. We got some weird-ass DMs. Whatever. Who cares? I accept everyone for who they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting.
That was a good time.
It was a good time. It was nice just to like have,
I love going in the ocean. Yeah. I love it. It's the most relaxing thing to me in the world. And I thought of a lot of good business ideas while I was there.
Yeah.
That's why I really want to live on a beach.
Yeah, definitely.
In the middle of a break, run out, jump in the ocean, come back in.
Absolutely. I was surprised how much you like the ocean. I don't know why. I maybe because you're not the tannest of men. I thought you weren't really a beach guy.
Yeah, but I got pale skin and black hair.
Yeah. You got wings.
I got angel wings on my back of black hair.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I forgot to shave it too. So on my front, I was shaved. In my back, I had angel wings.
Yeah. People probably thought they were tattoos, though, from they look from a distance. Like, yo, look at that guy's tats, bro. Then they get a little closer and like, oh, it's hair.
What about the lady who said she couldn't believe you were walking alone?
Oh, yeah, that was so, like, talk about external validation. I mean, I was looking fly, though. I was tan. I had a cool shirt on. My hair was nice, fresh cut. And this lady was just like, you're too good looking to be walking alone. And I was like, me? And she was like, yeah, I want your picture on my wall. I felt good. After that, I was smiling at every
That's
girl
when you
I
want
saw.
to go to the casino.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was like, Casino Pete.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
But it was
good times.
It was interesting.
So we're going over this. What is this, according to the World Health Organization? Or did we do that already?
That's pretty much just what this is about. So I guess it just says that people with severe mental health conditions who die prematurely because of those conditions, like it's because they don't do some of these approaches, specifically the physical one.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of times, like I know for me, like when I would be at rock bottom physically, I was so disgusting because it's like you're intaking so much alcohol for sometimes 48 hours straight,
Yeah.
not including even if I was doing anything else like coke or something, which was pretty much the only other drug I did.
Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't every time I drank, but like, so if I'm doing those things for like 3 days, punishing the liver, the kidneys, the blood pressure, cardiovascular system, your skin looks like shit, you're gaining weight, then I would stop and I'd pass out for like fucking 12 hours, and then I'd wake up and I would eat like an absolute animal.
Yeah,
like
me too.
Order Grubhub 3 to 4 times a day and not move out of my bed. I would like either play video games or just watch like Netflix or I remember I watched like the entire Soprano series over 4 days, which is long.
Yeah.
And I was just eating pizzas. And then after that, then when I would finally feel good again, I would drink again. And then just rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
That's the cycle.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have anything else besides just the reminder. I have no fucking idea when this episode comes out, but I know it's not after September 19th. So Demons Within. It's on Amazon September 19th, hardcover, paperback, and ebook.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people are going to read it. A lot of people are going to love it. So look for it.
U.S.
Jibbity jab, jabbity jabbing, U.S.